Welcome to the Victorious POD podcast with your hosts, Jack Vickers and Tyler Herman.
Hello, what up, Pod Squad? Welcome back for another edition of the Victorious POD. We missed you so much. We're coming back 3 days later on our regularly scheduled programming night. So we'll see how long this lasts. But for the time being, back to Tuesday night so you can enjoy on your Wednesday morning commutes. We got a lot of stuff to cover, some Week 11 preview things, potentially some long shot chances that we didn't think us Vikings fans had. Just don't give me hope. Going to break my heart later. And we're going to do a little draft about some best sequels of all time in the movie cinema world. So lots of fun things here. But before we do that, I'm going to bring in my co-host, Tyler, who's going to tell us a fun thing about his week.
Yeah, we went up to, it was rainy here in Charlotte all weekend, so we found a really cool indoor park that was even good enough for like Savannah to find a little play area. So we didn't get to do a whole lot since Katie was out of town, but we found a cool indoor playground amidst all the lovely rain and tired them out, and they slept through the entire night one of those nights, so I will take it.
Damn, that is a win. That is definitely a win.
Yes.
We've had one of those in the last week and a half. I mean, he's usually pretty brutal. Good. Jackson's we put him to bed anytime between 9 and 10. He wakes up once in the night up until 6, 7. So, I mean, it's not bad, but I would love a full 8 hours sleep and just go, whatever. So,
yeah, been a hot minute.
We did nothing exciting and fun over the weekend because we just cleaned the house and did winterizing things and putting stuff away and breaking, and I hung the Christmas lights up. I hopped up on my roof and did that.
Okay, then we're good.
Get that out of the way before it got terrible out. And then the last couple of nights, Christine and I have been diving back into Mario Party, playing that together just as something to do at night. Yeah, it's been fun. We have a Switch now, and it's not as fun a Mario Party as the old school the N64 versions. I think those maps were better. They had more stuff going on, but it's fun to jump back in, and your boy still got it with the mini games.
Nice.
That's all. The amount of times I've lost the game but won 80% of the mini games, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Button mashing king. Anyways, we got a game of the week as always, a random wacky game. We tried out Wavelength last week. That went pretty well.
That was
I'll try to put it more kind of in the middle or a random number that'll make it tougher next time, or maybe Tyler can do it and we'll see what happens. But side note on another game too, I have started a new round of the initials game, just so you know, to put that out there. I have decided my initials already, and I have come up with some stuff, but I just need clues for it. So that is in the works. Eventually, we'll get the returning champ Ben and some more people out there. But for this week's mini game, we're back to just another Would You Rather. So I've got two for you this week. This one is basically just would you rather eradicate one or the other thing. So you never get a cold again in your life. No, just seasonal change colds, no under the weather colds kind of things. You still get other sicknesses here and there. If it's full-blown fever, I can't do anything for you. But none of those pesky little ones that just kind of linger and make you feel under the weather. Or you never have to sit in traffic again for your life. That doesn't mean there's zero cars on the world. It's still normal flow, and there's going to be bad drivers, but you're never in full-on just rush hour traffic stop.
Traffic. Not a question. Not even a question. Wouldn't have been as bad in Rochester, back in Minnesota, because it was just a bunch of farmland. So 30 miles took you 30 minutes. The amount of time that I sit in traffic here in Charlotte now, since I have to drive, even not all the way into the city. I still work south of Charlotte, but it is brutal. It takes 20 minutes to go 6 miles, and I wish I was kidding. It's absolutely brutal. So I will eradicate traffic any day of the week, and Ryan Herman will tell you the same thing.
Yeah, I will be the other side because I don't drive anywhere, so working from home doesn't affect me that much.
With the Would You Rathers, Jack's I'm not changing tires. I'm gonna walk everywhere. Jack's I don't go anywhere. Other people leave the house, Jack.
This is a personal answer. So I don't have to drive for work, and it turns out in a town of 4,000 people, that's not a joke, there isn't traffic anyway. It consists of I get stopped at a 3-way intersection, and I'm like, I can't turn left because there's 2 cars coming, or there's a tractor, or there's an Amish wagon. So not a big issue in my life. But yeah, I get it. I don't get sick a whole lot, but I think if that just happened 0% of the time, especially now with a little kid who's going to get more and more colds as he starts going to school years down the road, and B, a wife who works in a school with second graders. I would prefer not, because Christine started her first year here back in September, and I think I had 2 colds from her within the first 3 weeks, and I was like, okay, you need to stop hanging out with kids. So
yeah, it's super fun taking kids to daycare, and they say, here's your weekly cold, here's your weekly sinus infection, here's your weekly flu, and I'm like, wait, so we pay you guys, you take our kids, and then they give us sickness. Great. What a good trade-off, and it's super inexpensive to go to daycare. Annette.
Yeah, that's
it's
also
brutal.
Something we're lucky, but not going down the dad's world too much.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm going. So let us know if you guys have any thoughts. We'll try to get a short out this week of like the would you rather things, because those seem to be the ones people actually interact with the most. But tell us which way you're going there. I'm guessing it's probably only a work from home or not situation. So
yeah.
Fan interaction zone, tailgate zone, Discord, YouTube especially. If you could subscribe to that if you haven't already, that helps us out a lot. We're up to 126, so we're slowly chipping away. Social media's not super active, I will tell you. YouTube's kind of our bread and butter, so that's what we're going to stick with. But moving into the NFL news-wise, Vikings 60-second synopsis, I will leave it up to Tyler.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick it back to you, Jack, in just a second here. Again with kids, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of the game, and being out here, I saw enough of it on Red Zone to see that Dobbs, took the reins and he killed it. 268 and 1, no turnovers, got the rushing prowess that we've been really enjoying. 8 for 44 and a touchdown on the ground. Now back-to-back games with a rushing touchdown. Our other pieces of our run game are brutal. Mattinson got hurt. Chandler was no better. Just horribly inefficient. 15 for 45. Fell face first into the end zone. Hawk balled out. 11 for 134. Addison did just fine as well. Like we said, serviceable individual, and that rushing prowess certainly seems to open things up, at least. And like most new quarterbacks tend to lean on their tight ends. Dobbs seems to be doing that as well. So I'm sure you get to see a little bit more of it. So any additional thoughts?
Yeah, it was just really exciting. I talked about it after last week's game, leading into this one, where I said it's nice having this chance to see what a mobile rushing quarterback can do for our system. Not necessarily that we need a rushing, but just the way he was moving in the pocket, and that one rushing touchdown. If you saw the highlight, he scrambled around 8 different attempted tackles. That was just crazy cool to see. So I don't care whether he ends up actually running downfield, but just being able to keep the play alive in the pocket is very, very exciting. So kudos to him for picking up. I'm sure they're simplifying the playbook a lot, but picking up as much as he can. And like, he looked just as good with a full week of practice now. So it was nice to see it wasn't just like a flash in the pan kind of thing. I'm kind of excited now with the Madison injury, because it sounds like Ty Chandler's been named the starter for this week, regardless of injury, or maybe they're just doing it to like keep him from rushing back necessarily. But I am all in favor of trying something different. Ty Chandler's a lot more of a speedster versus kind of the plotter with Madison. So that excites me, just to give him some chances. So we re-signed Myles Gaskin to the practice squad, and we've got a couple other guys too that probably won't matter a whole lot. But my only thing besides Hawkinson continuing to do well, I'm curious to see, as Dobbs has more games, if Addison gets back involved to like the alpha target, because he had like a mini breakout for a couple weeks there, even before Jefferson went down, and then once he was down, and now he's kind of just been like kind of good, but not like dominating the share or anything. So I'm curious if that just means that Dobbs isn't going to look his way, or if it's more like you said, where it's like the safety blanket as he's learning the plays kind of thing, and once they get their timing down, it'll be better. The fact that we're on a 5-game winning streak and we're 5-0 without Jefferson is absurd.
It's insane.
I sent you that one stat where it's they're undefeated without their top weapon, and then like all the other number ones in different positions that we were missing coming into this game was just crazy. So it's cool to see the team bounce back. The Saints, I think I said before the Cousins injury, were our biggest hurdle. So now it's just kind of seeing if we can sustain it over a couple of other ones. I know I don't expect us to beat the Bengals, but getting past Denver would be nice. Getting past the struggling Packers and then stealing at least one game versus Detroit is kind of going to be the ones I watch for. So that's my other thoughts.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think the only other, I was just curious because I saw a few people on the Fun Twitterverse shortly after the game were like, okay, Josh Dobbs is a better fit for the Viking system than Kirk Cousins ever was. I just want to get your thoughts on that. I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, very small sample size, and Kirk was great for us, but I get we've really, it's been a very long time since we've had a mobile quarterback, so I'm sure that different aspect and showing teams hasn't been seen by other people watching the Vikings in a long time.
Right.
So I get the thought process, but better for the Vikings than Cousins. I don't know. It seemed like a quick jump to make.
Yeah, I think it depends on, I guess, how you phrase the question, where if you say, like, his play style is a better fit, that I would agree with, because we need that with our not top-of-the-line offensive line. But I think if you're just going who's better overall, it's Cousins, and it shouldn't even be a discussion. Yeah. I said this on last week's episode, too, where I was like, this Dobbs thing is going to be a situation like a Case Keenum 2.0, where he's going to come in, look pretty good, and everybody's going to say, oh, screw Cousins, let's move on from him. Dobbs is the answer. He's not. It would be great if he continues to lead us there, and he can be a very serviceable fill-in guy where we can get the job done if we build up the defense and get some help on the offensive line. He would be great if we had everything else figured out and we just plugged him in. But with our current issues still, I want to say Cousins would be a much better fit. There's a reason we wanted him and lost him. So
yeah, I saw two different people say Josh Dobbs would unlock an even higher ceiling for Justin Jefferson, and I'm like, that's just not at all true. He was on pace to get 2,000
yards.
I'm like, that's just not at all true. Kirk Cousins is one of the most accurate quarterbacks on the planet, and he's so good at those timing routes, and that's not Josh Dobbs' game. He's a capable passer, but he's good at extending plays. And obviously, JJ's good at finding those zones and working back to the quarterback and doing all that on the extended plays. But he's also great at timing routes. He is an amazing route runner, and Kirk is good on time and in those pockets. So yeah, I'm like, it's a little bit far, guys. It's been 2 weeks. Is he better for Justin Jefferson? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what it'll look like with Jefferson coming in, because that's only going to obviously help Dobbs. But I do believe that in these next 2 to 3 weeks, there's going to be an absolute stinker, bomb game from Dobbs, where everyone who was saying oh my God, he's great. He's it's not just going to be this every week where it's great in the air and then rushing and looks great. There's going to be some mistakes that aren't necessarily a fault of his own. It's just going to happen. And I think everybody's kind of looking at rose tinted glasses right now.
Yeah, they're looking at you versus me next week right here. I didn't even notice it. I really didn't even notice it.
That was good. That was well planned out by us.
That was well planned. Yeah. So Vikings play on the road at Denver next week. So
the number one
I've got plenty
AFC
of Denver
team.
Jerseys. Yeah, because Katie was born in Denver, so big Denver fan back to the Elway, Terrell Davis type era. So we've always been Broncos fans, secondary to Vikings fans, of course. So we'll have a fun little rivalry this week, and certainly won't watch the game anywhere near each other because we'll just yell at each other the entire time. But, congrats to them on a massive win. That was huge. Good thing Buffalo don't know how to count up in New York, so that was certainly helpful. 12 men on the field to get a second field goal attempt. But Buffalo looked horrendous. But congrats, Javonte. Good breakout here. Again, we're out here in North Carolina. I think any of the people here can tell you I'm one of the biggest Javonte truthers out there. When you listen to this, Javonte, I traded Bijan for you. Just remember that. So if you want to ship your boys some stuff, I'm a North Carolina fan. I got your jersey. So don't worry. When you listen back, start sending me some. In Dynasty, that's what I traded Dave for. I traded Javonte. And I got Javonte and Olave for Bijan.
Well, Javonte, if you're still listening, he has the chance to do the same thing in another Dynasty league. So, Tyler, I'm more than willing to give up Javonte for Bijan for you. So, just really double down on your boy.
Let's do it. If somebody finds this and gets it to him on Twitter, like I said, Broncos fans, UNC fans are out here in North Carolina. I got the UNC shorts on right now too. Don't worry.
Oh my!
I'm all in for you, Javonte. Let's do this.
I'm gonna get this clip to Javonte personally, just so I can get the trade to happen. So
we'll get this. We'll put this out on the YouTube verse, and we'll see. We'll let social media do its thing.
Perfect. Real quick, are you, based on the back-to-back wins by Denver over the Chiefs and Buffalo now, are you thinking this is going to continue? Are they legitimate and they've figured things out and turned a corner, or do you think better? Do you feel better about us winning still?
I think Denver's defense, I mean, we thought they were going to be really, really good coming into the year, and they always tend to play better at home, and obviously it's just a crazy different environment at Mile High. So Denver has looked really good. So it really looks like they've turned the corner. And I was going to say this as well. I was like, I could foresee this being the stinker of a game for Dobbs. traveling all across country over to Denver and Mile High again. He's probably relatively used to it, maybe playing out west a little bit more in Arizona, but he's bounced all around. Denver's just a different beast, so I would not be surprised if Denver keeps riding this high. But I could also see it being a letdown spot after 2 massive wins. You play Mahomes and then Josh Allen as well and coming in, but it's like they also have a chance to continue that streak and knock us off of our 5-game winning streak as well. So it's honestly 2 massive games for both. Maybe not for divisional purposes, but I mean, if Denver's somehow still thinking a wild card, or it could be just a big statement game, that's a big wild card game for us as well, because it's kind of those. It's pretty much a pick 'em game, honestly.
Yeah, this one is kind of the one that could solidify us. If we get out of here with a win, we get the Bears and the Raiders next. Yeah. Like we should be 9-4 if we win this game, which is crazy. Agreed. So, and we're going to need that coming up with the Bengals and the Lions twice. So, don't feel great, but I'm sure the Broncos are kind of in the same situation of like, how are these Vikings winning the game? And they're playing better than they should be. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So, all right, enough about the Viking stuff. Going into the NFL Pick'em. So we are still running this where you're picking 2 every single week, going through week 16. Last week, Nate, Nick, Tyler, and myself were all tied with 13 wins. Nate, Nick, and Tyler all went 2-0. So my gamble was a nightmare because it's exactly what I figured I was going to give up first, but I didn't expect all of them to be right. So Nate had the Bears and Pittsburgh correct. Nick had Dallas and Pittsburgh. Tyler had Tampa Bay and Indy. I went the Chicago-Carolina stinker just to get those 2 out of the way, and I came out 1-1, so I'll take it. They're all at 15. I'm at 14. Mac went 1-1, so didn't quite catch me, but he's staying close, still in the hunt with Seattle correct and Atlanta wrong. Foster 1-1 as well, got Pittsburgh correct, but he got Cincinnati wrong in the upset, so he's 1 back of Mac at 12. Connor, he's in a rough 0-4 stretch in the last 2 weeks, so went Carolina on Thursday night, got them wrong, and then he went the Jets and he got them wrong. Joe at the bottom, Carolina and the Jets as well. He's not doing well at 7. So week 11.
Week 11, it doesn't seem like it should be spicy, but I feel like it's going to be a really close game. I'm going to take Houston over Arizona, honestly, because they're playing at home. I see it being a potential letdown spot for both of them. Second game back for Kyler, maybe some just adrenaline through the first game, and I can see a letdown spot going on the road. Houston, massive win over Cincinnati, so I can see a letdown spot for them. But I'm gonna roll with Houston at home, so I'm gonna take Houston over AZ, and then I'm gonna take Jacksonville over Tennessee. Jack, you're finally gonna use some of your good teams. So he's going Lions over Chicago, Buffalo over the Jets. Nate's going Miami over the Raiders, and Seattle over the Rams. Connor's going Cincy over Baltimore, spicy on Thursday at Baltimore, and Miami over Raiders. Joe also going Cincy over Baltimore, and then he's going Browns over Steelers. Foster's going Lions over Bears, and Chargers over Packers. I think that one's kind of a trap. It could be interesting. I can see him losing it, going to Lambeau, Foster, but we'll see. I hope I'm wrong, because obviously Nick is going Dolphins over Raiders, Jacksonville over Titans. Mac is going Houston over AZ, and Denver over Minnesota. Interesting. Rude.
I probably would have used them too as like a dart throw because I don't feel confident in any other games, but I already used them like week 2. You and I both used them week 2 and we got them wrong, so that's fun. All right, so trying to regain. We have a little bit of variety this time. There's not the clear like number 1 favorite, just as everybody starts running out of teams. So next week I'll have it prepared where we can list everybody's remaining 10 teams because we'll have 5 weeks to go. So then it'll be a little bit more interesting of like, who's got some saved up and who's got not a lot left. But once we get through the bye weeks, it'll be nice too. So moving into the Minnesota Sports NFL season-long pick'em on CBS Sports, I wanted to do a quick shout out to them because I am currently wearing a Percy Harvin jersey that I got from them as the winning prize, not this past week, but the week before when I went 14 for 14, completely 100% on the week, and I think the next closest was 12, so not every week. I don't think they have one for this past week because I was like one of 5 that tied at 10, but every once in a while they have a prize. So even if you're not playing this entire season, hop in there and just do it for 1 week and see, and you might win some stuff. Go follow them and like them on Facebook, and you can see what they're giving away. But as you can see, legitimate old school Vikings jerseys, so some actual pretty solid prizes here. So worth checking out. Week 10, Tyler was at 9 and I was at 10. Should have had 11. I hemmed and hawed on Monday night, and I just went for the gamble with the Jets. But what can you do? So leader's at 101. Tyler's at 98 in sole possession of fourth. So some other people have dropped off big time. And then I'm at 100, 1 point behind him, sole possession of second. So we are both staying close with him. It'd be nice if at least one of us can catch whoever it is in front and take it home for the pod. So week 11. Again, we've got about 4 teams on bye, I believe, but the winners I've got this week are the Ravens, Texans, Lions, Cowboys, Chargers, Dolphins, Commanders, Browns, Jags, 49ers, Bills, Seahawks, Vikings, and Chiefs. I am hemming and hawing on a couple of them, so we will see if those stay as injury reports come out, but Chiefs and Eagles, I guess, is the only spicy one, or close one, I should say. Chiefs are only favored by 60%, but again, I'm just kind of believing on the Eagles have not fully looked themselves, and I believe the Chiefs will get it done at home, if I'm correct. So,
yeah, that's one of the ones I'm hemming and hawing on off a bye week. I might, I've got the Rams in there right now. I'm kind of reserving that one if Stafford plays or doesn't play, because if we get Brett Rippon thrown out there, I might have to switch back to Seattle. But if Stafford plays, I'm probably going to go Rams there, even in the 80-20 split right now to the Seahawks. So I think it could be a differentiator for me. But a lot of the other ones were pretty straightforward for me. I don't think there's a lot of misses. Chiefs and Philly is going to be a toss-up. I'm just going Chiefs at home, essentially off of bye week. Andy Reid's pretty much indefensible coming off of bye in his history. So likely going to stick Chiefs there, especially being at home and off of bye week and some of that extra rest. So really the only difference I have right now is the Rams, and that's kind of pending Stafford. But we'll probably roll with that, see if I can steal one back somewhere.
All right, I like it. At this point, I'm just trying to let somebody else mess up and stay consistent. So
it's kind of
or hope that they've
try to get a little spicy with a couple of mine.
Yeah, that was mine last week. I was really proud of the Cardinals over Falcons pick just to try to steal one, but the rest it's kind of like I'm staying chalk at this point. So we'll see. Next into swimming upstream.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
All right, so segment. Yeah, Tyler has not had a good time the last few weeks. We were neck and neck for a while, and it's dropped off. So, you know how you felt last year. You were just everything I touched, I exploded. So
exactly, that's where I'm at.
I had Josh Dobbs picked in the homer pick, doubling down versus the Saints. He went with 25.12. Helps when he has a rushing score. So that brought me up to 171.9, and I am at QB9 on the season, up from QB11, and I am less than 3 points behind QB8. So close to overtaking that too as we get some more people with bye weeks, or if people get injuries here and there, I just can try to keep climbing or at least solidify the QB1. So averaging over 17 points through 10 weeks, which you'll take from a normal quarterback, let alone a streamer. So Tyler, meanwhile, went Will Levis versus the Tampa Bay pass funnel defense, 5.96.
That did not work.
It did not. So he is at QB21, 120.26, still over 12 with a streamer. I think if you get a streamer that gets above 12, you'll take it, but not great for this game specifically. So he's a few good games off a QB1 season, but there's still plenty of time left. So week 11, you have the first pick. So why don't you go take it away?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this is for strictly the Vikings fandom, because Dobbs is out there and still under the 50% threshold, but everything I touch ruins it. I'm not coming back. I'm not winning this season. So you're welcome, Vikings fans. So I'm going to take Jordan Love. I'm going to take Jordan Love against the Chargers at home. So not only do I get to likely ruin Jordan Love and screw the Packers, I also am not going to do it to the Vikings fans and not picking Dobbs. So I'll flip it over to you, and I'm going to take Jordan Love against the Chargers at home.
Yeah, I just assumed you had Dobbs, so obviously I'm going to take him. But I get the concept. I'd be doing the same at this point. So I'll take Dobbs with the upside. Denver defense obviously is solid, but there's not a lot of great options under 50% this week. Other than Dobbs, I think everybody's projected at 13 or below. Not that you have to go be a slave to projections, but not a lot of great-looking guys. I'm not trusting Levis after this past week. Tampa Bay scares me in this matchup for Mayfield. There's just not a lot of great choices. So Dobbs, just based on the rushing alone, I think will provide a safe floor, and that's what I'm going to roll. So, all right, moving on from fan interaction stuff. As always, if you comment on any of the YouTube stuff, especially the shorts, we will shout you out here and mention your discussion. So, moving into that, we have Ship It or Skip It next, and I do have 3 this time. So we've kind of gone off of that the last couple of weeks when we had other questions and things going on. But 3 quick ones. Again, as always, we'll give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and if we agree, we just won't really get into it much because it's pretty self-explanatory. But if we disagree, we'll discuss. So after the last few weeks of struggles now and Josh Allen continuing to turn the ball over, the Bills have become a pretender versus an early season contender pick. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just ugly.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just ugly. I mean, they continue to turn the ball over. Their defense doesn't look great. I mean, it just hasn't been up to what you expect from there. They just don't look to be clicking on all cylinders. So we'll see what happens this week. I think they play the Jets, and they fired their offensive coordinator. So maybe they simplify, get quick looks to Diggs. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got 7 catches by halftime. Maybe they unleash James Cook a little bit more and whatnot. So or do the opposite, or completely flip to Latavius Murray. So I think this will be a true telltale week if the Jets can somehow keep it close or pull it out. I mean, I already think it's quite possible the Bills don't even make the playoffs, which is absolute insanity after they've been a near AFC representative the last 3 years.
Right. They were everybody's pick of the last 2 seasons, the AFC pick for the Super Bowl. So now they're 500. Like, that's so crazy to me. And they're playing Zach Wilson. So if you can't figure it out this week to stay alive, you go 5-6 to them.
Yeah.
The Jets might catch you in the division at that point. So what's crazy to me is I had said a couple of weeks ago too, where I was like, the Jets just seem like they need another playmaker on offense. And they have Dalton Kincaid currently breaking out during this struggle. So they have him as a chance behind Diggs, and it's still not working. And the last couple of years, I've been like, man, they just need to get a good run game in there because they've never had any it's always been the Latavius Murrays of the world. I know they have James Cook and they don't use him. So it's you have the things that I used to think were the problems and you still aren't doing it. So
yeah, the big thing has been turnovers. Josh Allen just has such ugly turnovers, and they couldn't hold on to the ball last night. I mean, just fumbles, and James Cook got that lucky bounce that just literally came right back to him, broke out, got to the second level, and it was like, oh, Butterfingers, but it was rolling forward, literally rolled like this and bounced straight down and straight back up into his arms, and he continued running for another 40 yards. I was like, that should have literally been another fumble instead of a 65-yard gain. It's crazy. I mean, I'll take it. He's on my team, and he's one of my guys. I love it. I had no issue. I was like, my goodness, it was ridiculous.
You're making me nervous. Yeah. Speaking of their opponent this week, Aaron Rodgers has been talking for a while now that he's going to return this season, and everybody's like, how? This is several months past the end of the season injury recovery, but he's been saying it. There's been clips every damn Jets game because they have nothing else to show for highlights where they're like, oh, Rodgers is throwing deep balls and on the sideline and looking at him moving and stuff. So do you believe that Rodgers comes back at all this season and plays in a meaningful game for the Jets? 1, 2, 3. I just can't.
I get it. It's a good storyline, but they're not going to risk it when he's already under contract again for next year, and they're really not playing for anything this year. I'm not saying Rodgers doesn't want to play. I'm saying the Jets are smart enough to not play him.
And that's why I added that meaningful piece, because I believe he could probably come back if it was a 1 game left in the season to make the playoffs kind of thing. But I think they'll be eliminated by that point where it won't be a reason to happen. So they're not making the playoffs unless he comes back, and I think they're going to be eliminated before he even has a chance, even if it was week 15, 16. So, and then lastly, several weeks now of kind of a breakout, which is proving the 101 pick was incorrect in the rookie draft this year. But C.J. Stroud will get MVP votes by the end of the season as a rookie. 1, 2, 3. The disagreement now. All right, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, the way Stroud has looked has been incredible and something that we haven't seen from a rookie quarterback in a very, very long time. So I think his efficiency and the pieces that they have around him, they're going to have to continue to sling the ball. I mean, Singletary and Pierce are going to split that backfield whenever Pierce comes back. So I think they're going to be in enough negative game scripts here going forward, or at least shootout games, that he's going to continue to be featured as a passer. So I will not be surprised at the end of this if he gets a MVP vote tossed his way. I mean, he's not going to win an MVP. He's not going to Jim Brown it and win it in his rookie season. But I will not be surprised if he continues on some type of pace like this, doesn't get hurt, doesn't start to turn the ball over or anything like that, if he gets an MVP vote thrown his way, which would be pretty darn cool.
2 weeks ago, his odds were 250 to 1. Last week, they dropped to 125 to 1. Being the betting correspondent, do you know what they dropped to as of yesterday after this past weekend?
Let's see here. So
Or
it
if you
would
had to
be
take a guess.
Cincinnati against Burrow. My guess is so it went from 25 to 1 to, what did you say, 12.5 to 1?
It went from 250 to 1 down to
250.
125 to 1.
Yeah, I was going to say it like
125.
So
Yeah.
125, probably down to, my guess would be like 60-ish.
30 to 1 as of yesterday,
Wow.
which is
Wow.
crazy. So
there you go. So I mean, I think everyone understands, and again, they do it depending on what type of money they get in and whatnot as well. But to see them drop it to 30 to 1, to say, hey, this is the outside chance if he continues to go crazy and some of the other people falter and they sneak in, like it's possible. So I will not be surprised. Like I said, if he gets votes, I don't think he's going to win. I think there's too many other players that are doing well, but he'll get a couple votes. Yeah.
As of now, real quick, there are currently 6 guys above him in odds as per Vegas. So it's Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar. Tua's down to 4. Actually, Lamar and Tua are tied at 3. Josh Allen in a distant 5th, Joe Burrow, and then C.J. Stroud. So there's a handful others that I think are just like the perennial favorites. Is the only reason I'm saying no, because I think they'll just steal votes away. But yeah, he's running away with the Rookie of the Year. So. All right, moving into unique leagues, we're going to run through a couple of these pretty quickly. Bomb Squads and Butt Cheeks is stupid, and I don't care anymore. So
yeah, I don't know that.
Real quick, Tyler went 1 and 2. I went 2 and 1 this past week. We're up to 15 and 13 for Tyler and 14 and 15 for me. We won't even talk about the fact that we're not going to catch the other two. So shout out to Dave, who's the new leader, for the top teams at 19, and Walter's at 7. Next closest is almost double that. So. Yeah, and it's not me, but with me and Tyler being separated by basically a game or a game and a half a game, technically, because he has one less game played, who do you think it would be more disappointing for if my teams outwin your teams? Because obviously you went for the wins and I went for the losses.
It's so crazy. I mean, I think you would have to look at it and say mine is more disappointing because I'm like, I have the Bills and the Chargers. So to say, like, nobody expected them to be so bad. Like, Browns, again, had hype behind them with Deshaun Watson and everything like that.
The Browns are your best
pick. Right. It was crazy. But I think to see them be so disappointing compared to what those expectations were for those two teams and taking that next step and Kellen Moore and blah, blah, blah. I mean, Texans, Raiders, and Commanders, it's just kind of that incredible story. Like, hey, they're way overperforming, but Bills and Chargers and Browns are so far incredibly underperforming what those expectations were. I think it's been brutal across the board.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was looking at it from like this league context. If you look at it from the NFL context, yours would be more disappointing. If you look at it from this league's context, mine is worse because there's only 2 teams that tried to pick bad teams, and I still might pass you. So that's frustrating. Anyways, we're not going to cover that any more than we have to. All right, so moving into Guillotine, our 18-team league that we're dropping one person every single week. We are through week 10, so I mean over halfway. Did we both survive? Yes, we did. So we are still going strong. We are 2 of the final 8 remaining, which is exciting. I don't know. I've done this league 3 years now, and I have finished 8th, 3rd, and 3rd. So I don't know if you remember your last ones, but I'm into at least better than or as good as I've done.
Yeah, 4th. I did 4th, 3rd, and I think I got 2nd last year.
Okay, so you're a little higher even with the 4th. My 8th was my
I've done well in these because I think I finished just off the money, and then I won money the last 2 years because we all split last year.
Yeah, that's right. You, me, and Jake did it, and then that was my plan every time. If I make top 3, I'm like, I don't care. Let's just see what happens. So
yeah,
same thing. If I make the top 3, 3rd only gets money back. If I make like 2nd or above, I'll make sure you get your buy-in back, so then at least you're broken even if you fall off along the way. But following the blueprint where you just get lucky drafting early and then trying to come in with money towards the end. So we'll see what happens. The one that gets cut this week is Garlic, which is big for us because he was the only one that had a ton of money left. It was over $500. So surprised he didn't spend more last week. We kind of talked about it on last episode, but he was trying to do the thing where he could just bully everybody towards the end. So It became close. It was a little nervous, but he had a lot of good players cut. So here's some of the people that we have on the on the docket this week. Kyler, A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Justin Jefferson, still on IR. We don't know when he's coming back yet, but he's going to be highly coveted. Chris Godwin, Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, with the way he's playing, he'll definitely get picked up by somebody. Alexander Madison, depending on if he's out or not this week, somebody will probably drop a few on him. But running backs is pretty gross, so it's a lot of receivers. So I think that fits both of our teams well. We both got like 2 to 3 solid receivers. You've got a little bit more than I do depth-wise, but be curious to see who bids what. Doesn't run until tomorrow, so we won't be able to tell you who. But Tyler, any thoughts on any of those guys? I mean, obviously just receivers, try to get somebody in there, but if you have any thoughts beyond who's available?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I thought it would be really interesting. So the highest money left is essentially you and Ben. So I think Ben's got like 370-ish, and you've got like 350-ish. Then everybody else is like 220 to 100 to myself at like 75, and then a couple people with under that. So
yeah,
kind of putting it into perspective, some of these guys like AJ Brown and Waddle are going to go for like $110 because like that's all the
this is where it drops. Yeah,
this is where it drops off significantly. But yeah, that's where Garlic ran into issues. AJ Brown and Waddle on bye last week. Justin Jefferson still not back. Kyler had an okay game, not great. Andrews had an okay game, not great. So it was a tough one. I mean, the bye weeks are killer. That's kind of what I'm going into here with week 11. Got big running backs. Got Kamara, JT on bye. Got Lave on bye. So I'm like, I got to survive this week, and then we'll see where we go. But week 11 and week 13 are going to be pretty brutal for me if I make it that far.
Yeah, mine's pretty much just week 13 left. I don't really have anybody on bye except for Taysom Hill, but I got McBride. So not really looking at Mark Andrews or Kincaid because I'd have to drop one of those other two, and I think they're good enough.
Hawk, so I'm good.
Yeah, so Kyler, I mean, I'll probably just keep rolling with Josh Allen. So it's really just receivers at this point. But I can tell you, I'm going to bid over 75 on it on all of the big name guys. So my goal at this point is basically either to get like I'm not going to be breaking the bank for any of them, outspending even the $200 guys. I'm probably going to be in like the $100 range and like either get one of these solid guys for cheaper or make sure that whoever else gets him spends all of their money so that like the rest of the dollars are wiped out. Like you said, it's me and Ben in the 350s, and then there's 3 teams with like the 200 range. So like if Ben wants to spend the rest of his, or if these other guys all get down to 50 and next week I can cherry pick whoever, that's great. That's kind of my plan.
Yep.
So as far as like reactions and thoughts from the past week, my 2 Lion pickups, Montgomery and Amon-Ra, were amazing. They had 44 points between the 2 of them, so that was clutch. Money well spent. The rest of my team was kind of a letdown. I barely survived. I was actually the second from the bottom, so it was either going to be myself or Garlic, who were the 2 highest scoring teams on the season and had the 2 of the 3 most money left. So it's going to be big for everybody else either way, getting those people out. But need to bounce back, so I do need to make some kind of pickups this week, but I do get back to full strength essentially. So all my quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers are in. Feeling fairly good, but again, you never know at this point. I'm on 2 to 3 weeks of like disappointment after a strong start, so I'm a little bit more gun shy.
Yeah. Like I said, for me, it could be a fight here. I still feel pretty good about what I got. So I got JT, Kamara, Olave on bye, but I've built my depth relatively well. So I still have Saquon, I still have Gibbs, I still have Aaron Jones, even though he's been disappointing. Really, I think the main thing for me is Lamar's got to play better. If he doesn't do well on Thursday night, it might be a tough week for me. But if he has an okay game and he gets me that 20-ish points, I think I'll still be okay. So, and then week 13 will be the big one because that's when Lamar's on bye and Hawk is on bye and Saquon is on bye. So I think 13 will be the bigger one for me than here, simply because I have the depth. But hopefully I'll have the opportunity to round out a little more for week 13 depth. But we'll take it 1 week at a time. I got to get through this one first.
Not that projections mean anything, but you and I are the top 2 projected on the week. Yeah. So that's I can't figure out Guillotine's projections at all.
Me neither.
It just seems goofy. My biggest thing is whether I start Gus Edwards or like a JSN/Nico if he's healthy.
Yeah.
But Gus keeps getting all these stupid 1-yard touchdowns that I can't take him out. All right, moving into best ball. Week 10 results. I won another one. This is like the 3rd time of the year where somehow, even in best ball, when you've got like 30 people on your line or in your team, I won by 0.6 points against technically the number 1 guy, Josh. So squeaked by, moved up to 5-5, and I'm in 7th place. Josh having no quarterbacks with Hurts on bye and nobody else on the roster because he loaded up elsewhere, which is working for him. That basically saved me. So I won despite him not starting a quarterback, just barely.
Yeah, I did. I did the thing that has continued to happen in this league and got absolutely screwed by my schedule again. The second most points on the week, and I played the guy with the most points, and I lost by 1.2 points, and I lost because Javante scored on that little screen pass in the fourth quarter to take the lead, and because Diggs and Cook couldn't get more than 2 points above somebody in my lineup, and I think I had a couple receivers with like 9, but Diggs finished with 6.5, and Cook finished with like 10. So I'm like, I needed 1.2 points from 1.2 more points from either Diggs or Cooks, and I couldn't get it after Cooks got in the doghouse and Diggs couldn't get anything going. So then I was like, I could only be so mad. I'm like, I was cheering for Denver the whole time, and then Javante scored, so obviously I was excited, and then I lose by 1.2 because of it. So I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take the Denver win over Buffalo, and my boy Javante scoring, and I've got Javante pretty much everywhere I can as well. So I will take it to lose in best ball.
Yeah, the two of us both being 5-5, but you're in 4th and I'm in 7th is crazy. So top 6 make the playoffs. I could somehow sneak in if I keep getting lucky with wins, but clearly my team is not designed to be a good team. So lastly, rounding this out here, we got the DFS League, top 3 scores of the week. We got Tyler back on top, and then Cassie 2 weeks in a row in the top 2. So shout out to you after a slower start. She's coming on. And then Ben is also back in the top 3. 174, 165, 155. According to my super official professional Excel sheet, Tyler is back up into first at 1523. Ben is down one spot at 1508. So we got a 2-person kind of back and forth there. And then Jordan, Ryan, and myself, the combo racing for third. The exact same top 5 as it's been for several weeks now, but we have some other close ones. So Jordan's at 1420, Ryan's at 1401, and I'm at 1394. So 26 points separating all of us. So again, top 3 get paid, so you just need to at least be third to get your money back. We'll see. We got several weeks to go. So real quick, the top value picks of the week that I chose. Dak at quarterback, 6,700. So a little bit not bottom dweller, but he got you 41.8. Brian Robinson at only 5,400. He seems like he's all or nothing. He's either always a top scorer or he gets 4. But this week, 5,400, he got you 30.7. Brandon Cooks, 4,200 for 35.3. With the stack with Dak would have been elite if anybody would have done that, but nobody did. And then Trey McBride, I had him, and I switched to Taysom Hill, who was averaging 17 points the last month, and McBride, for less money, got 24.1. So that's fun. I'll rant a little bit later on that once we get to the betting corner. So now we're into the matchup recap for Tyler.
Yeah, it was fun. I literally played 2 tight ends. I played Trey McBride and Taysom. I played them both because I was like, I'm fitting them both in because I really wanted.
It was really good value.
It was
Taysom, not a thing.
Then I got to put Eckler and CMC in there or whatever. Like I got to really fill it out because
your lineup
I was willing to put 2 tight ends in.
Unlocking
worked that, and then Baker and Mike Evans could have had an even crazier week if Mike would have caught that other touchdown, but still picked the right stack, so I'll take it. Obviously, I'll take the W, and plus that means you lose, which I like that as well.
I don't.
Going into the Victoria's Secret matchup recap for Week 10, I took down Glick, Ryan over Foster, Josh over Walters, Ben over Cassie, Jack took down Jordan, Jay over Alex. For those 6 wins, Ben overtakes first or jumps back into first over Alex. He's in first at 14-6. Me and Alex are tied at 13-7. He's got the points tiebreaker on me, so he's in second. I'm in third, both at 13-7. Jack jumps over Glick, Foster, and Jordan into fourth, so he's at 11-9. And then Jordan and Josh round out the playoffs. So Glick dropped all the way from I think 4th, maybe 5th from last week down to 7th. Jordan and Josh round out the playoffs at 11-9. So 4th, 5th, and 6th all at 11-9. 2nd and 3rd, 13-7, and then Ben at 14-6. So still anybody's game. Got essentially 8 games that you can make up here over the last 4 weeks. So it's gonna be moving week next week is what I feel with you guys all in 4th, 5th, and 6th. 2 games is gonna be massive. Whoever goes 2-0 and 0-2 is gonna drop out real fast. Kind of the bottom 2 or 3 are pretty much out of it. Certainly anything 4, can. Really. Yeah, bottom 4, but for sure probably the bottom 3 just kind of too much to make up in 8 games when you're already probably 6 games at least out of that 6th spot. So it's pretty much a 7 or 8 team race for 6 playoff spots.
Yeah, agreed. Just trying to stay alive if I could. I told Tyler if I could just not be 500 every other week, that'd be great. Just give me 1 win this week so I can have a cushion. But I've got all of my key players on bye, and I'm playing another playoff team, so this is going to hurt.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, That's right.
Moving into
me and Ben,
Dynasty.
got a big matchup. Me and Ben this week as well.
You
So
and
we're both
Ben,
at full
me and
strength.
Josh.
So
Yeah, it's literally, it's all top playoff teams. So
it's crazy.
cool. Moving into Dynasty, I'll let you do your two.
Yeah. So DFB, my team finally decided to show up after a few weeks of mediocre wins. I got a real win. Scored 101 in the standard league, so I'll take that. Up to 6-4, but I'm still in 7th, which is pretty insane. And I know Jack, you're at 7-3 and still in 5th. It's crazy. Yeah. We got to pretty much top tier, and we're just kind of beating up on the bottom handful of teams. Yeah. And Taco, I decided my team was going to step up during rivalry week. I lost last year's rivalry week, and I wasn't going to let it happen again. So sorry, Joe, taking the kudos back. But I beat Joe 98-68, so we're now 1-1. We haven't really found an official trophy yet. It's much harder when you don't live close to individuals, but I'll make him send me something virtual.
There you go. That works. Do a yearly video shouting out the other person's team on Facebook or something. Yeah, I gotta look and see, because I also brought our rivalry to 1-1 against Connor, so I have to look and see historically in the data to see if anybody's currently 2-0 in rivalries, or as we go year to year, if that gets more spread out who's winning. So I redeemed myself from last year, and I won in the rivalry against Connor. It actually ended up being close. I was like 1-92 or something. So he decided to play well, and I have back-to-back weeks of like under 110, which doesn't feel great. I'm in first, but I had so many weeks of like 150, 170, and now I'm like, I would have lost if I played half the league. So it's just shows there's not like clear runaway favorites like everybody was thinking. Like Max down in 4th currently based on record, so it's like it's not a clear runaway for either of us two like everybody thought. But I will take it. I will be getting some beer growler of choice from Connor's local breweries, and I'm excited for that at some point. And then DFB, I won another close one. This is the second or third time in this league that I've won by less than 5 points. I won by 3 against a bottom, like the 9th overall team. So I'm up to 7-3, but in 5th, like Tyler said, because there's 2 other teams at 7-3, and then 8-2 and 9-1. So we'll see what happens. There's a clear 7 of us, and it seems like the other 5 are pretty much done, which means somebody's going to miss the playoffs at this point, which is bananas.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
But Dynasty, doing well as long as you're making the playoffs in both, so I'm hoping I can keep that going. So moving off of, we're not going to cover that. We're not going to cover that. Blah, blah, blah. We're going into the betting corner. Here we go. Oh, no, that's right. I forgot.
That's you.
It's time.
That is you.
Oh, okay. I finally
time.
lose. Tyler had to do this round 1, and then he had to do push-ups last week, and so now we decided, rather than coming up with a new one for whoever wins, I'm just going to start the same order. So just whatever stage you get to with the punishments. Yeah, exactly. That's the better way to say it. So I got my handy-dandy teaspoon measuring cup thing right here of cinnamon. Tyler told me to go more for the teaspoon route because he almost died with however much he did with a tablespoon, if that was the case.
I did a tablespoon. So
yeah, that was
try to make sure Jack can talk here in a minute.
Yeah, so I'm gonna mute myself. I'll just try not to cough in the camera.
Don't mute yourself. That's no fun.
Exactly.
I want to hear the suffering.
I'm gonna take it, and Tyler's gonna start doing his bets, and then hopefully I have air by the time it's time for my DFS stuff. So here we go.
Perfect. I just have to watch. Oh, it's just so wonderful. Week 2. So I had a good week. Week 10. I went 3-1. So plus 2.4 units for the week. I'm 24-17 on the year. So plus 9.76 units.
It's so cinnamony.
It's so cinnamony. Week 10, I hit one on Thursday night, the Miles Sanders over 10.5 receiving yards. The other ones I had were Amon-Ra St. Brown over 6.5 receptions. He nailed that. He had a great game. I missed the Will Levis over 215 passing yards. He finished with like 193, so he certainly could have gotten there, but missed that one. And then I hit the Baker over 1.5 passing TDs at plus 155. So we had a pretty good week, another 2.5 units onto it, and up almost 10 units on the season. So week 11, obviously no bets yet, with it only being Tuesday. They usually don't come out until Thursday and Friday. Just some targets to take a look at. I'm going to look at Austin Eckler's receptions. If it opens at like 3.5, cold game in Lambeau could be a few extra checkdowns. He's usually around 3 to 4 receptions. If it's 2.5, it's probably going to be really juiced, so I might have to take the risk at 3.5 if it gets to like even money or something like that. Other ones I'm looking at, the Commanders' receivers, even though Sam Howell threw the ball like crazy, none of them seem to go to the receivers. So Dotson got shut out. So I'm going to look for Commanders' receivers to bounce back versus the Giants this week. Pass funnel Titans, I'm likely going to look at Christian Kirk or maybe Calvin Ridley overs for Jacksonville. And then I'm going to target the Rams against the Seahawks off a bye week. Should be a close game, essentially a coin flip. And especially if Stafford plays, I think he's going to want to get Cooper Kupp going, in my opinion, after he's had weeks of 2 catches, 4 catches, and 2 catches. I think those two get on the same page, so I'm going to be looking at his likely yards and receptions as well, potentially Puka as well. So I might look at them both if Stafford plays. So those are my targets. We'll see what they officially look like down the week, but I'll keep everybody updated as the week progresses. How you doing, Jack?
Are you talking? I didn't
having fun?
hear a word you said.
Hibbity hoopla.
Oh, hibbity hoopla.
I
man.
hear where you said.
It wasn't like a full-blown, I can even hear it in my voice now. It wasn't like a full-blown coughing attack, but it was like an internal explosion or an implosion of just like that. And it just burned right here. Like it was like an alcohol shot where I was just like,
it's not the tastiest thing that I've ever tried.
That was my initial thing. I had the spoon in my mouth and I was like, I'm not dying yet, but it's just like overwhelming cinnamon power of just like, I can still taste it. So yeah,
it's like taking 7 sticks of big red gum and then sticking them all in your mouth at the same time.
That too. The people that say they like big red gum, I'm like, stop. Like if you like cinnamon flavor, no, you just like a very tiny amount. There's a reason that they can't put that much of that flavor in. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of things
like cinnamon and French toast and cinnamon toast crunch, that's about it.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's fake
cinnamon. Milk cuts it. That's the key.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that grind my gears, my DFS lineup of last week pissed me off. I had 12th, which sounds great if you're thinking in the Millie Maker, but not when you're out of 12 lineups. So and the worst part is I told Tyler, I'm like, this is one of the ones I feel better on too. Like looking back at it, everything made sense. The math checked out. I am very confident in my decisions, but wins, I had Jared Goff with 24, Metcalf with 16, and Tank Dell with 18. I wasn't that big of a difference between him and Noah Brown, so I don't regret picking him over Brown, but obviously Brown scored more. Losses, though. I went in on Pollard after he's struggled all season. He had 5.5 points in a game that they blew out the Giants. Like, they were up and they weren't using him. Everybody else, CD got a rushing touchdown before Pollard did. Like, it was just
so crazy.
Like, theoretically, it should have been good, and that's what I was banking on, was them being up and finally using him. Then Hollywood, 3.8 in Kyler's return. He missed a touchdown by inches where it was like the outstretched hands that he almost had it. He shouldn't have had it, but it was right there. They got touchdowns to Michael Wilson. Trey McBride had a great game, so it was like everybody else. Jahan Dotson, I was super pumped on. He had 0 after the last 2 weeks of dominance. And the worst part was I picked him based on the matchup because Seattle's terrible against the slot, and that's all the routes he runs. So it was like, this should have been your game script from the start. Taysom Hill, I already talked about. 4.3, he averaged 17 plus over the last 4 weeks. This is the 1 week that it didn't happen, and probably because Carr got knocked out. They probably would have used him more than they did with Jameis. So very, very frustrating. After coming back basically into third and catching up within like 30 to 40 on Tyler and Ben, I am now way out of it again. So this week, obviously, it hasn't released our full lineup because that comes out tomorrow. But as far as what I could find on early, still trying to struggle to breathe, early picks under 6,500, so some budget options to start building your lineups once it comes out tomorrow. Brock Purdy is only 5,800 versus Tampa Bay, who's a pretty big top 3 pass funnel defense. And Purdy, in every game that he's played in the last like 16 games where he's been healthy in DraftKings, he averages 19.7. So for whatever reason, Purdy's price has fluctuated between like 5,700 to 6,000 all year and not changed. So I think it's probably not a real high ceiling, but it's a very safe floor guy you could get for pretty cheap. David Montgomery, 6,500 versus Chicago. So the top of my threshold, but I think he should be way more. Like came off of injury recently, but he still did great last week, even with Gibbs also doing well. So like they're going to be up. They're going to try to run the ball down Chicago's throat. Easy. Wide receivers, Quentin Johnson, 6,200. This is kind of contingent on whether Keenan really is fully practicing all week. I'm sure he'll play, but him being hampered at all could be very interesting. And Quentin Johnson did get some looks last week. He had 4 catches and a touchdown finally, so the rookie might start being used a little bit more, which is exciting versus Green Bay. Noah Brown, based on what he's been doing the last 2 weeks, 162.5 yards per game. He goes against Arizona, and I think that could be more of a shootout than people realize. Or actually Tank Dell, who's $200 cheaper this week. So this might be the one where you kind of pivot on everybody going Noah Brown on the blowouts, and Tank Dell is kind of more of the number one, subject to Nico Collins coming back. Tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, like I talked about earlier in the show, 5,800 versus the Jets, who are very bad against tight ends. And then Trey McBride, 4,800, 1,000 cheaper versus Houston in what could be a shootout. And clearly Kyler also loved him. So, and then lastly, defenses. I kind of like Washington versus the Giants. I think they're 3,400. And then Jacksonville versus Tennessee, a little bit more. I think they're 3,800, but they should be in a good bounce back one. And Tennessee's done great for defenses who played them the last 2 weeks. So those are my picks. Now we move into... I'm hanging in there.
You're doing great, I think.
Mm-hmm. Now we move into our wacky, crazy, fun draft. Last week's episode was best. What did we do? Best some things.
Last week was vehicles, fictional vehicles.
Fictional vehicles, thank you. Best fictional vehicles. I ended up winning that one. Batmobile helped a lot, and then Mystery Machine was a key one. I think Tyler's probably are more practical and did more stuff and were more helpful, but we went nostalgia, popularity. So that won it for me. We will now have a full week of votes and stuff, and I'm going to try some stuff to get it out on Reddit and get actually a lot of votes for a change. So, all right, so kicking off the draft for this week, we are going to be doing best movie sequels of all time. So whether it's the second one or just any kind of sequel, we're just going to be going off of those. So mine's going to be banking essentially off of whether Tyler has seen them or not. So I'm hoping I can get some value on some of those later. But spoiler alert, because this was the trend the last 3 weeks, I will not be taking a Scooby-Doo sequel, just so you know. Just put that out there. So, because Tyler had the DeLorean last week for fictional vehicles, I have the 101 this week, and I had a very clear 101, and then everything else gets thrown out the window. So, for me, when I think of movie sequels, this always comes to mind, and I'm sure it does with a lot of people, both the genre and also just like the acting performance specifically of one actor. But as far as movie sequels go, I am going with The Dark Knight on Heath Ledger's back.
It's actually my number one. When I was thinking through it, I was like, there's so many sequels, but I'm like, it's so hard with these because I'm like, which ones are sequels and which ones to start? Like, it wasn't the original movie because there's so many of these that I'm like, there's like 90 movies in the franchise, so I just have to pick one essentially that wasn't the first one.
Yeah. So
I'm with you. I went back and forth on where I should go. I figured the Dark Knight would go first. This was a hard one. I think I'm going to, for one of mine, I'm going to take a Toy Story sequel. I just can't decide which one.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go with. I'm trying to remember which one is which as far as that.
Holding up a number. I'm guessing.
I know, because I think, yeah, because I'm gonna go Toy Story 2. When they first meet Jesse and
Prospector Pete, baby.
and Prospector and Bullseye. So I think I gotta go that one. That's a great movie. So I like that better than even the first one, honestly.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
So no question. And then the other one I'm going to take is Katie and I are massive Marvel people, so I think I got to take one of the Avengers movies. And so I got to take I got to take Endgame.
Yeah, that was mine too. If you took Infinity War, I was going to take Endgame. So
yeah, I figured to go out there, and I was like, "There's so many of these sequels," because that's what I thought. I'm like, one of us will take Endgame, one of us will take Infinity War, and I was like, blah blah blah. So I'm like, I'm just going to take Endgame.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I should take Infinity War now.
Yeah, I don't know that I would now. Yeah,
yeah. I would have taken Endgame. Endgame is definitely the right pick. For me, that was better. Mostly just because Infinity War ends on a sad note, and Endgame is like every callback you've ever wanted things to be ever. So
yes,
if you guys haven't watched a YouTube video just like detailing a few minutes of like every callback from all other Marvel movies in Endgame, it's absurd how many there are. Just little things that are just like slight references. I love that kind of stuff personally, like Easter eggs and references and callbacks. I'm all about it. So. Love that. Endgame was my 102, so that makes me sad. I am going to go. I'm just going to go full nerddom here, and just lock up two others that I assume you probably wouldn't take anyways, but I'm not going to bother with saving one of them for my 104. So
yeah,
go
my
ahead.
guess is going to be The Lord of the Rings, and whichever, and then I'm going to go like one of those stupid ass Mad Max movies.
No, actually, I haven't seen the.
Oh, okay.
I've seen the first one once, and I haven't seen the others beyond that. So
I knew one to be Lord of the Rings, the whatever number of towers is in the system. I don't know.
So it's whether it's the Two Towers or Return of the King for me, 2 and 3 in that one. I think when you think the sequel, you usually think the second, but I don't care, and I'm going to go with the Return of the King because it was better to me. Two Towers was great Lord of the Rings wise, but weak compared to the other ones. So I'm going to go with Return of the King because it's the culmination of the trilogy and just, great scenes and fighting, but also everybody wins and all that great stuff. So that one, and then same level of nerddom as Lord of the Rings is I'm going the Star Wars world with one of the original classics of sequels with The Empire Strikes Back. So back in the day when Luke finds out that Vader is actually his father, and it sets up the ultimate showdown in the end. So Return of the King and Empire Strikes Back, I'm feeling good through 3.
I like it. I am going to take one that relatively new, relatively recent, and I thought was probably going to lose me a lot of this, but I thought it was just as good as the first one. I'm going to take Top Gun Maverick. It was.
It's on my list. That was my last one.
Absolutely great, great movie, and I enjoyed it just as much, if not more, than the first one. I love Miles Teller in every sense of the word. He's absolutely amazing. And then,
if you haven't seen Whiplash with Miles Teller, it's on my top 10 of all-time favorite movies. Just
if you haven't seen the New Age Footloose as well.
Yes, also that.
Very good.
Also
very good.
He plays the buddy. Yeah.
Yes, him pretending to not know how to dance was incredibly hard for him because he can dance and he has a lot of rhythm. And the guy that he plays in the movie is supposed to not know how to dance. So he's like, it was so awkward because I'm a very good dancer. So this was just annoying to me. So
last Miles Teller shout out. That awkward moment. Have you seen that movie?
God, yes. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's so good. Him, Zac Efron, and Michael B. Jordan is like a list of like millennial current actors.
It's so good.
Anyways, I'm done with that. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, oh my, there's so many options here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I am going to. I think I'm gonna go Matt Damon, and I'm gonna take The Bourne Ultimatum.
Yeah, that's a strong one. That's fair.
That's it. I enjoy it. It's not one that I'm sure a lot of people will like, but there's so many other ones on my list.
So good.
There's so many other on this list, but that's what I'm gonna go with because I love the whole Bourne series.
Yes, yeah. The Supremacy, the second one, was my least favorite of the 3, so I liked Ultimatum as the choice.
Ultimatum was way better than Supremacy.
Plus, the soundtrack was really, really good. I've got a few of those on my playlist still going. Okay, that was also on my list, as well as Maverick. My only other strong one, I guess I'm going to stay in the action genre to round things out here. I thought about a couple others, and we'll cover them in a second, but I am going to go an old school action, kind of one of the originals, at least with us growing up and stuff. But I'm going to go the Terminator 2. I'm going to go Judgment Day with the T-2000. Arnold Schwarzenegger, classic, iconic action hero. But the first one was so cool with the concept of like Terminator going back in time, Arnold trying to kill him and everything, kill Sarah Connor. And then the second one came back and it was a twist, and it was Arnold, but this time trying to protect her from the T-2000 upgraded one that was like just way better, and there was tons of cool action scenes and stuff like that in there. So that one I loved watching growing up. So that rounds up my team. Did you have any? What were the big ones left off of the list here?
Big ones, and I'm already wrong, and I forgot that I had on my list because I don't have my list in front of me. And as I'm just kind of scrolling and looking through it, I've already fucked up. Nobody took Back to the Future 2.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
That's horrible on me.
After you took DeLorean last week, come on, you could have done the Scooby-Doo plan.
I'm the worst, 100%. It's one of my favorite movies, literally of all time. So that's what I get for not having my list in front of me. Any of the Harry Potter sequels, obviously, would have been big ones. Incredibles 2 was just as good, if not
Yes.
better than Incredibles 1.
I think it was better.
So, and then the Oceans movie, Oceans 12 and Oceans 13.
I loved 13. 12 was
13
my
is
least of
better.
the
12
three,
was
so
not
that's
as
why. That's why. I had trouble. It was
I
the
like
same.
13.
Do I take the second or not? But yeah. 13 is very, very
So
good.
those were kind of my main ones. I'm sure there's a couple others.
The couple others on my list, I had The Godfather Part 2. I love that whole trilogy, but I think Part 2 is really, really good.
Never seen Godfather.
Al Pacino, Robert De Niro.
Well, yeah.
It's like classic mobster roles movies. Going in besides Endgame and Infinity War, I had Thor Ragnarok because I think that's incredible.
I do
That's
like
one of my
that
favorite
movie.
Marvel movies, especially because
I
the
do like
first
that
Thor.
movie.
Go back and watch it. It's bad. I did not like the first Thor movie at all. I think he didn't
Really?
do well in it. Yeah,
It's
a very different vibe for Chris Hemsworth in that one. It's not as funny. It's more just like he's stupid and arrogant and like is the best at everything. And then in future ones, they gave Thor kind of that like under the radar and like sarcasm and like funny, like blank face, but makes him funny because of that. So Ragnarok was funny. It brought in a lot more humor. It had the whole banter with Loki and like the let's do the get help thing and throws him. And I love that kind of stuff. So that was strong on mine. I had Aliens, the second one, as far as horror movies.
Also never
Again,
seen
that
it.
was more just kind of like the old school in the 70s and 80s. And then Home Alone 2, Lost in New York is one of my favorites for Christmas movies. So
I like that
much better than the first one in my opinion. Spicy Take.
Great. Yeah, could have went Shrek 2. I did enjoy Shrek 2. If you haven't seen that one,
was so good.
Shrek 2 is super
Far,
good.
far away.
Far away. And Fairy Godmother and everything like that. That's a really good one. So as I just kind of scroll on things, I'm like, there's so many. I should have prepared a little bit more because there's some good ones that we missed.
Yeah, there's a lot. People, please tell us.
And I've heard Mad
comment
Max
on these.
Fury Road is really good.
Yeah, I need to watch it. I like it.
I've heard they're good, but
yeah, it's a Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron.
I was like, Tom Hardy's awesome. So Creed 2 is kind of good. Creed 2 is kind of good. If
I haven't seen Creed 2. I need to watch Creed 2.
Creed 3 is not as good. I watched that on one of the recent flights I was on. Not as good. It was okay, but Creed 2 is pretty good.
Yeah, there should be several, so please comment and tell us.
There's a lot.
But next week's topic will either be, I was going to tell us right here, best fictional foods, so some kind of a food from a TV show, a movie, a cartoon, whatever, or best cartoon animals.
Ooh.
Bringing the big guns for you.
I guess I'm gonna go cartoon animals. I don't know why, and I don't have any idea. I should know where I'm gonna go since I'll have the first pick.
We do.
Put
them on the board.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can't take my thing. All right.
Yeah, right. Not just for the memes now.
We'll bring fictional foods in later too, because I got a couple top picks for that one already. But that's gonna be it. So I'll let you do the wrap up on this one. I got nothing else left to say. I'm saving my voice from the cinnamon.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoyed watching Jack devour cinnamon. He's going to do that every episode now, guys. So be sure you tune in.
I don't want any new punishments. Just do cinnamon.
Yes, you just get that all the time. But no, appreciate everyone listening. You guys have been great. Like I said, we've been steadily climbing on YouTube, climbing the ranks, and getting those extra subscribers. So really appreciate everybody sharing. Now that we've got earlier in the week, I'll get some more of those short form content out there for shorts and things like that. I know there's a little more digestible than hour and 15-minute episodes, even if you guys listen on the drive. So appreciate all the support as always. All the fans of the show, all the other ones that shout us out, Minnesota Sports and the ADH Dads, and the Game Boys. They always do a great job with their content, shouting us out. So we love to do the same. So we appreciate the partnership as always. Appreciate everybody listening. But until next time, Pod Squad. Peace out.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Victorious POD podcast. Follow us on YouTube at the Victorious POD.